Guys, it's literally like 11:30 p.m. and I am sitting in bed. The light from my laptop is totally not going to be enough for this. I'm going to turn on a lamp in a second, but I'm just thinking all these things and I'm like, you know what? I wish that I had someone to talk to about this and just like vent, and not even vent, but just talk. And I'm not good at opening up to people. I've mentioned this before. It's something that I'm trying to challenge myself to get better at, and I guess I just wanted Luna's here. I guess I just wanted to share some stuff that I've been like, I don't know. I just want this to be a yap sesh. I don't even want it to be like, let's talk about like the spiritual meaning of certain things and like what's going on with me. But I just kind of wanted to just like talk, kind of like have a girl talk. You know what I mean? Apparently Luna's in. She's in. I'm literally in bed. You guys will see in a second. I have no makeup on and I'm just like chilling in bed. Let me see if I can make this like a little bit more presentable so you guys aren't just staring at a black screen. Some vague outline of me. Oh my gosh. That was bright. Okay. Hi. Welcome to bed with me. You're in bed with me. How's it feel? All right, so let's just get cozy and chat, if you would indulge me in such a way. Because, yeah, me crying in bed by myself wasn't just it wasn't gonna cut it, you know? It just wasn't gonna cut it. Right, loons? So, essentially, I'm just gonna kind of like start at the beginning. We're talking about a boy, by the way, for a moment. So for my girlies out there, we're having boy talk. We're having boy chat here. Boy talk with the girlies and the non-girlies. You're all welcome to join. Just no haters. Haters in the club. Just kidding, but not kidding. Oh, if I put it there, it kind of like blocks it so that I'm not quite as blinded. Blinded by the light. Lit up. Okay, there we go. So essentially, I moved. I had my own condo, and not condo, but I had my own like apartment in Calgary. And like at the end of July, I moved because my lease ran out. Why does the color keep changing? That's weird. Okay, there we go. And like, I moved in, I think I've mentioned this a couple times before, but I moved in back like at my childhood home with my mom because my stepdad had surgery, and he had a pretty serious surgery that he couldn't really function after, and we have a Rottweiler and a bunch of stuff. So I was like, I will move in and assist you because the price of living and rent has gone up significantly in Calgary. And so I was kind of trying to, like, I wanted to leave anyways, but I didn't really know where I wanted to go. And so I was still figuring my shit out, more or less. So I decided to help them out with some stuff that, like, they wouldn't be able to cover, essentially, like, the responsibilities and whatever duties of the house, more or less, as, like, while he's in his healing phase. But like the day before I moved, I'm pretty sure it was like the day before I moved, I was still packing and like getting ready to move, and I meet this guy, and he just comes out of like absolutely nowhere, like was not looking for someone, was not expecting someone, did not even really want to connect with someone, if I'm being completely honest, because the person that I connected to before that was just like a bad choice. And the thing is about me is like, I know when I'm making bad choices usually, which makes it worse. Sometimes I think I just like make poor choices because I'm like, I know that I'll learn something from it. Good art always comes from it. I'm bored. They're hot. I have an Aries Venus, Scorpio rising, and you know, like, let's just go have some fun. But this particular person was just like a blatant bad choice. And after that, I was like, we're done this phase of our life. Like, we're done doing that. We're done knowing that something's not a good choice and just doing it anyways at our own expense. But then a very unexpected person came into my life, like I said, right before I moved. And when he came in, and this is going to sound like mushy, but like, I was like, wow, I've healed a lot and I manifested this person in. Like, this person is like a dream person to me. Okay, Luna, are you like just demanding to be the star of the show right now? Yeah, she's like, yes, I am, in fact, demanding that. But I met him and I was like, it sounds so corny, but like the way that we connected and the way that he made me feel and how he treated me and his energy and just like how different he was from everything that I don't know. It just seemed very much like a spirit thing. And I do think that we have a spiritual connection, that we had a spiritual connection. I think we still do. But it's just like, it felt so different to me. It didn't feel like part of the same cycle that I felt like I had closed out with this previous person. And I felt like I was on the precipice of making a big change. I thought that it was like, this is the first step of like genuinely a new phase of my life where I've closed out old wounds, like certain karmic cycles that I'm really done with. And I feel like you feel when you've done the healing and you are really ready to close something out, versus like when there's still a part of you that like is like, let's fuck around and find out, or I could be persuaded back into this cycle. This particular cycle was like men that mirrored my wounds, like my like daddy issues, basically. Okay, we're gonna just hi, you're not gonna be like that close up, okay? Is that cool with you? No? Okay, no. Feel free to literally sleep, like lay down anywhere that's not right there, okay? Love you so much. This person didn't feel like part of that cycle. They felt like the person that was like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, at the end of like the storm that my life has been. And it might sound stupid, but like, it gave me faith that not just that all of it wasn't for nothing, because all of us, like, obviously all of it wasn't for nothing. My experiences taught me so much. I healed so much because they forced me to look into myself and see myself in a way that I don't think I would have had I been forced by my circumstances. But I didn't make it easy. Like, it's been a long and arduous journey. I was in a super abusive relationship with a covert narcissist, and I had really intense PTSD after that. And the last like 4 years basically have been like me rebuilding my sense of self and my entire, like, the stability of my whole life and my being up from the ground. And very few people know like how serious that was and how intense that has been for me, and difficult, because I'm just a really private person. And especially when I feel like when you feel so vulnerable, I don't know, you feel like you want to protect yourself more. Like, a part of you really wants to reach out because you just want to not feel alone and you just want to feel supported in some way. But then there's this other part of you that is like, now is the worst possible time for me to open up because I'm the most vulnerable and someone could come in and take advantage. And it's sad, but like, that's kind of where your mind goes when you've been taken advantage of your whole life. And I'm used to, because of my father wounds and just the kind of person that I am, I'm used to connecting with people that are essentially like emotionally not very mature, or just completely unavailable, or not committed, or people that just genuinely just take, like narcissists that just take and take and take in an abusive kind of way. But because of my wounds, I would just like give and give and give. I was still wrapping up the threads of some pretty intense healing, because when I came back to my childhood home, some other things like came up to the surface that I was purging out. And so I was pretty emotional like the first month that I was here, and just exhausted. And he was just so kind and like patient and supportive, and just, I've never felt like someone has genuinely like seen and held me in that way before, ever in my life. And honestly, it made me feel super uncomfortable and vulnerable, because I was like, can I even trust this? But at the same time, everything inside of me was like lit up in a way that it was like I could kind of differentiate that it was my fear that was saying, can you trust this? Can you really trust this? And it was like my heart and my soul that was like wanting me to jump in head first, kind of thing, to the situation. Essentially, like at the beginning of it, I just was like, I feel like we were two different people, and we both have our wounds, and we both have our like ego, and we both have strong personalities, and we are both stubborn. And I feel like our shadows got the best of us, and it just has like haunted me, because I felt like I fucked things up. And by the end of the connection, like the way that he left made me question everything about what I initially felt and how much healing I've actually done. And it was so hurtful that I was like, all right, like, I guess I just fell for another fucking psychopath, and they had a better mask than the other ones. Like, I don't even know. I didn't even know what to think anymore. I felt like it was like emotional and mental whiplash, going from literally being like, I feel like I have come so far. I feel like I manifested and called someone amazing in, because I have genuinely done the healing, and I'm embodying an authentic, loving, and like confident energy, which I was when we met. And I feel like that's the energy he came in too. And so everything felt like it made sense, and everything felt very spiritually like supported and aligned, and my intuition pointed me in the direction. Otherwise I never would have like I love incredibly hard, and I have enough Scorpio and Pisces energy to know the implications of that. So I don't allow myself to just fall in love with people easily or quickly. And that's because it takes me a really long time to like uproot that love from my heart. This whole situation has just been like, what the fuck? Like, it's been like a Twilight Zone kind of experience. And I guess I'm just fucking confused. I think I'm getting to the point now where I feel like I see things clearly, or at least like I'm mostly at peace, because I really stopped pointing my attention outside of myself. I stopped looking at him and his actions and his words and being like, was this true? Was he ever who he said he was? Did he ever actually have genuine feelings? Was he faking at the beginning? Like, am I just crazy? Did I get like fucking used and bamboozled again? Like I said, by the end of it, I feel like I was in a relationship with someone that was like, had completely shape-shifted into someone that I didn't know anymore. And I felt like I had too, to some degree, because I no longer trusted the person that was standing in front of me. I no longer felt considered or cared for, or like they were trying to understand me. I no longer felt like they were empathetic or open whatsoever, or supportive, or even really invested, you know? And I didn't feel like I could trust them anymore. And then I didn't feel like I could trust myself as a result. And like an extension of that, like, it's hard when you're triggered and you're hurt, because it's generally true that a person's actions and behavior is always, like 100% of the time, a reflection of their internal relationship with themselves. So when people act in a cruel way towards you, that's a projection. Usually they are incredibly hard on themselves. Usually they're very self-critical. And then to kind of like divert from that, they project that out into the relationships and the world around them, right? When someone doesn't trust themselves, they become distrustful of people around them. It's that sort of thing. Like, you can pretty much tell how someone feels about themselves, and their actions towards you are generally never actually truly personal. But when you're wounded, it's so fucking hard to not internalize something, you know? And when someone's just like has a level of coldness to them that makes you question if you ever knew them or if they ever told you the truth, and how like such a great level of disparity, it can fuck with you. And it took me like basically the last like month and a half to kind of ground myself back into my own truth, like to just stop obsessing from like a triggered place on things that I can't control, on like his actions, how he feels or doesn't feel about me, what might or might never happen between us again, like, because there was no real closure. It was like an incredibly like immature, blunt, and like harsh and hurtful ending that was unexpected. But because there was like no closure, and because it was just done in such like a clearly like avoidant way, it sucked. It left a mess that I needed to clean up. And it left a lot of questions that I had to really like discipline myself to not focus on all these things that I don't have the answers to. But I still know that I have like a tendency to victimize myself, or it's more of like put myself in a comfort zone of pain and of telling myself that I'm a piece of shit and that somehow I fucked up. I'm not a good person. I'm not worthy. It's like I go back to these really old, really hurtful narratives about myself that I've grown out of. But it's so easy to slip back into them, you know? You're never done healing, and we're always like susceptible. Love is literally a choice, and loving yourself is a choice, and you have to pick it every single day. Love isn't something that just survives like this passionate wildfire every day that just like, you know, sustains itself. Like, you have to choose it. You have to work on yourself and the connection and the energy to keep something alive. I can get into these phases where like I obsess over, I don't know, like watching tarot readings or pulling my own cards and trying to understand like what I did wrong, or like how they see me, or what their intentions are, or whatever. And the last few years I've like promised myself and been really disciplined in not doing that, because it literally makes me fucking mentally crazy when I do. And it keeps me stuck in a really unhealthy energy and place where I'm essentially in a state of depression and nostalgia over something that's already dead and gone, or like anxious or longing or hoping for a future that there is no actual certainty around. And I'm not present, and I'm not in my body, and I'm not validating the emotions that I feel right now in this experience. And so I'm not actually working through things. I'm just carrying the weight. And there's a part of me that is too comfortable with that, you know? So I have to be careful. So I haven't like pulled cards on the situation, but I'm also a tarot reader. And sometimes stories that are similar come up in the readings, and it's like you try really hard to not make any assumptions that is about you. I try to stay like healthily disconnected and detached from it as much as I can, but it can be difficult like when I do what I do for work, and I'm trying to not look into something specific, but that person still, I feel them very heavily in my energy still, and it's hard for me even if I set the intention to avoid. Sometimes I feel like tapping into his energy. But I've been mostly trying to focus on just like substantiating and clarifying my truth in the experience, knowing what I truly felt and validating those feelings, and like validating that like those feelings were real, and at the end of the day it only matters so much like whether he was actually real or not in who he was or his feelings, right? It's like the way that I felt was still real and still deserves to be honored and processed through, and not like me gaslighting myself and my experience isn't helping anything. Me shaming myself and guilting myself and setting myself back on my healing journey in a place of fear and doubt is not helping anything. So I've been trying to find this space where I'm at peace and I'm detached from any expectation, and I'm detached from giving to that energy of the connection. Not because I hate him and not because I'm bitter, because despite the way that everything unfolded, I actually love him very much, and I think that I will for a long time. But it's been difficult, like staying in a secure, grounded place where I am prioritizing taking care of myself, not getting sucked into anxious thoughts. It's been like this phase of having to constantly like redirect myself back to the path, redirect myself back and ground back into peace and like the truth of my experience. And like I've learned so many lessons about grace and self-love and self-acceptance, and even just acceptance in general of situations that are less than stellar, like painful situations and people. I don't know. Sometimes spiritual connections are so like people that you have a karmic contract with. And karma isn't good or bad. Karma is neutral. It's just you sign up to learn certain lessons with people, or you sign up to heal with people, or to be a catalyst maybe on someone's journey, or have them be a catalyst on yours in some sort of meaningful way. But it can be hard when you feel such a strong connection and you do have genuine like care and love and the desire to understand someone and invest in them because you see the depth in them. And I think it's hard when we see someone and they don't really see themselves yet. Do you know what I mean? Because you can fall in love with someone, a side of someone that they don't really even fully believe they are yet. And if the two of you aren't committed to healing and growing and continuing to communicate and be vulnerable and open yourselves up so that you can work as a team together and stay on the same page, then you're going to fall out of alignment. You can have the lover's connection with somebody, but if you both don't work to cycle through those old wounds, to cycle through and talk about your doubts and fears, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you're afraid that it might change something or you could lose someone as a result, or like to be honest with yourself about things that you're still holding on from in the past or anxieties that you have surrounding the future, so that you can truly be present with one another with like the value of the moment that you're actually having. I feel like we can just lose ourselves and each other. These are the things that are shaping me right now. And these are the things that affect how I show up for you guys. And I feel like some of you are probably going through or have gone through very similar things as well. And so it can be very like, I feel like it can be very soothing to just get something off your chest and then have people be like, sis, me too. You know what I mean? Like solidarity, or just like, I understand, or even like, I don't understand, but I'm here for you because I see that you're struggling. Or I'm here to validate how far you've come and how strong you are when you are having a moment where you want to feel like shit about yourself, or where it'd be easier for you to slip back into an old cycle that just keeps you stuck, where you're just telling yourself lies about a version of yourself that maybe you at one time were, or maybe you never were. Maybe that was always just a narrative that was planted in your brain for the sole purpose of you liberating yourself from it and coming back to who the fuck you actually are and the truth of who you are. And stepping back into the fullness of your humanity and your divinity, all wrapped up in this imperfectly perfect package of bittersweet experience that is the human condition. You know what I mean? I feel like I've actually taken so much beauty from this experience, and the journey that it has taken me on with myself has been incredibly significant. I think that I'm finally striking a healthy balance of like being like not lying to myself and denying the feelings that I have, because that's toxic too, right? Like, some people think that you can just be like, whatever, girl, he was a loser anyways, and like, he was never shit anyways, and like, he was never on your level, and he was just bullshit, and like that lying to themselves about the true nature of someone or their feelings about someone is going to be the way that they get over it. And it's like, that's just as delusional as the alternate, when you're like, he was great, and like, he was perfect, and I know that he's coming back tomorrow, and he's gonna like apologize and put a ring on it. You know, it's like, you have to find a middle ground where you don't have to find a middle ground, but you have to find your truth. You have to ground in your reality, and you have to trust yourself, because the truth is, we don't always get closure. We don't always know the other person's truth because they don't always share it with us. And even if they do share something with us, it's not always the actual truth. Sometimes someone doesn't even know their own truth. They might share with you from a place of woundedness and fear and ego, not even understanding that that's where they are, you know? Or be triggered and dismissive, or triggered and avoidant, or triggered and anxious, and not really showing up as the stable and secure and healthy version of themselves. But I think that ultimately we are our own anchor, and the only way that we can be healthy and move forwards is by trusting and knowing ourselves. And obviously, we all have our own truth. We all have our own way of perceiving the reality of what has happened and what we've taken from it, or how we've grown, or who we were in an experience. But I think the best that any of us can do is just try to be honest with ourselves. Radical acceptance involves accountability, so that you can get better, so that you can see, like, I could have done better there, or even admitting, like, I have regrets because I care about that person. And I feel like from my own anxious and wounded place, some of my actions or things that I said were not true to how I was actually feeling. But you can't live in regret. You can only say, this is what it was. I'm going to be open with myself so that I can be better. And I'm going to be open and honest with the other people too. And take responsibility for the shit, like for my side of things, for the part that I played, right? And I think that that's all that we can actually do, because we're only in control of ourselves. And at the end of the day, the best apology is change behavior, whether that apology is to someone else or just to yourself. We're humans. Like, all we can do is the best that we can do with what we have in any given moment. And then when we learn more, we do better. But I guess that's some of what I've been thinking and feeling lately, and some of what I've been experiencing. The other thing too is I think sometimes on this channel I feel like I never know if like the people that are leaving my life are gonna like still watch my content, because I tend to attract like very obsessive and possessive people. Kettle, meat, pot, you know, like basically the same. Or pot, meat, what is that? It's like calling the kettle black. But sometimes that like prevents me from speaking about how I actually feel and like the struggles, or like saying like that pissed me off, or saying that hurt me, or whatever, because I think there's this part of me that just wants to show up as like unbothered and not vulnerable, because I feel like in a way I've already been wounded enough, and I don't want to expose myself and show people that like they did impact me, and that they still are, you know. But ultimately I think I'm starting to see that that's a strength and not a weakness, to be able to do that, and that I don't need to prove or justify anything to anyone. She's so cute, oh my god. So I don't know if anyone needed to hear that, or if anyone needs the advice that if you're going through something similar, like, you're doing great as long as you're holding space for yourself and you're finding a tempered middle ground where you are looking at yourself but not beating the shit out of yourself. You are being disciplined in like staying grounded in your body, not trying to escape and be somewhere that you're not, but being present with the experience, and then caring for yourself and nurturing yourself based on whatever it is that you need in any given moment, however you're feeling, holding space for that. I think it's powerful at the end of the day. And at least you can fall asleep knowing that like, I'm showing up for myself. I'm showing up for myself when in the past I would have thrown myself into overworking to distract myself, or, you know, chatting with new people, even though I know damn well that like my heart's not open. My heart is very much still with somebody else. Escapism, you know, through any form. The only way out is through. And I think that I've done more healing and more grounding in our, like, this person means more to me than like any relationship that I've had in the past. And it took me basically like a month and a half to do the level of healing that it has taken me like years to do in the past. So, about people that I cared less about. And so, I guess ultimately I'm proud of myself, even though I feel like I can admit that I'm still kind of going through it a little bit. It's part of the process and journey, I guess. And yeah, thanks for listening to me blabber on about it. I hope that you guys are doing okay out there, and that you're keeping safe and well. Yeah? Do you have anything to share or say? Lick. Just a little lick. That's it. But I love you guys. And I love myself. Despite everything that I've been through, despite the loss, despite someone's actions and words basically saying, you're not worthy, you ain't shit, like I can just dispose of you like you're nothing, I still feel like I see my worth and my value, and I'm more rooted in my truth and grounded in my abundant nature and my divinity than I've ever been. And that's something that really does make me grateful for how far I've come and everything along the way that cultivated this kind of strength and unconditional love for self within me. So, I'll talk to you guys again soon.